Good evening, everyone. This is Malcolm Peters for our Sunday evening team call. As you can probably see, we're a little bit later than usual. The time now is 7:14 GMT. The call should have started about 14 minutes ago. We've had a technical difficulty, unfortunately, so I'd like you all, please, to stay online. We're going to get the call started in around 7 minutes time. So if we say for 9:20, 9:25, we're having a problem with several issues at the moment, unfortunately. Firstly, my camera is having a problem getting started for reasons that I don't quite understand. And also, two of my guest speakers are finding it very, very difficult to come online as well. So I'd like you to make yourselves comfortable if you can. I've got a couple of speakers who've joined us online right now. And just take it easy, get yourself some paper and a pen, organize yourselves, and we're going to get the call started as we normally do. We're a little bit late. So we say for 7:20, we're about 20 minutes late, probably 20:25, we'll get the call started. So as you come online, if anyone else is there, there's a chat line going. Can you explain on the chat that we've had a major catastrophic technical difficulty tonight, but the show has to go on, and we will make sure that the show goes on, but we're going to be starting around 7 to 10 minutes time latest. We're waiting for a couple more guests to join us. Rolandos, you can switch off your video if you wish for a moment. And at this moment in time, as you can see, I have Rolandos, I have Laurie, and I have Dina online, but we're missing several of my speakers because technically there seems to be a slight problem. So if you've joined this live call right now, it's one of those things that happens in the techno land. We've had a system meltdown, as they call it, but we will be getting the call started and moving with this call in the next 7 to 10 minutes. So just leave some chat messages there for new people who are joining us, and we'll join you very shortly as I try and round up some of my guests. Thank you all for listening in and joining us. Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Malcolm Peters. As you can see, we've had a catastrophic meltdown in our network this evening. I've seen that several of you have joined us online. This is going to be a slightly different call to the one that we normally have. Under times of great duress, management and leadership is about being very, very calm. It's been rather difficult doing that, as you can probably imagine. So those of you who've joined us tonight, let me just explain exactly what's happened. I'll probably be heavily cutting this video before we put it online, because obviously we've had a really difficult situation for the last 20 minutes. I just got back from Jordan, as most of you probably know. I got here about 2 hours ago. I'm absolutely exhausted. Been traveling most of the night. And then I came back, and unfortunately, my system crashed on me. I seem to have a real technical bug at the moment. You're probably all aware, those of you working with me, I had the same kind of problem with my laptop as well. Must be a local virus issue or something. But the challenge that we've had tonight is that several of my guests, Colleen Ferguson, Lindy Blomkamp, and also Liesel from South Africa, are finding it impossible to join this particular broadcast. So, being true to form, what I'm going to do is, first of all, welcome the people that have joined us, say hi to all of you. I'm going to make sure that the show goes on. I think that's very, very important. And get 3 of the speakers that I've got here to give you a contribution. I know one of them has made a real effort, our Emerald director, our Ruby director, soon to be Emerald. It's a positive vibe there for you, Dino. Soon to be Emerald, a Ruby director, Dino, who's calling in from America. We've also got Laurie, who's called in from Canada, and we've got Rolandos. But unfortunately, at this moment in time, I'm having a real problem with my other guests joining me. So what I'm going to do is, to get the show to carry on as it normally should carry on, is first of all ask my guests to reveal themselves if it's possible with your video cameras. And I'm going to just set the order up so that we can get the call started off. I think it's important, even if we get 1 or 2 of the speakers to share with you some of their information, it's going to be worthwhile. So what I'll do first of all is just say hi to all the people that have joined us. We've had a lot of different people who've joined us from different places around the world, if I can now find them, he says. So I'd like to say hi. I know for a fact that Rolandos, Helena is here. Hi, Lindy. Lindy's managed to get on. She perseverance pays in the end. So if you've joined us, I'm having a slight challenge, but we are going to get this call going very, very shortly. Let me just make sure that I have everything placed. Hi, Lindy. How are you? Probably we've had a very difficult time here, but it's okay. We've had Jean-Claude, who's called in from France. Welcome to call, Jean-Claude. Haralampos has called in from Greece. Welcome to call. We've had Nikos calling in from Greece as well. We've got here Gert, who's called in. I think Gert's calling in from Holland. We've got Tula, who's called in from Cyprus. Mohammed, who's called in from Jordan as well. So here's the sequence of the call for the guests who have managed to get online today. I'm going to start off, if I can. We're not going to get started quite right now. It's just to tell you the sequence. The first speaker is going to be yourself, Dino, and Dino is talking about mindset and skill set, I believe. And then we've got the second speaker I'd like really to get on board, if I can, is Laurie. Laurie's going to be talking about objection handling. I've got the third speaker, if that's okay with you, Rolandos, to get you on, Be a Lobster. I'm dying to hear what that is. Be a Lobster. And we've got Lindy, who's going to be coming online. Lindy, your subject for tonight is, can you just unmute yourself, please?
You don't need to know everything.
You don't need to know. Hey, this is perfect for tonight. You don't need to know everything. So please get yourselves comfortable, everybody. And what I'm going to do is to get my speakers to start, then try and save some of my damsels in distress. You know, there's a lesson to be learned from something like this, is things really can go catastrophically wrong when you don't expect them to. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go ahead with the show. We always do. All hosts should do that, and make sure that the content that we've got today is cut, so I can make sure that the video that goes out live on YouTube will be taken off at the end of this call. I'll edit it and I'll cut it to make sure that the content that we have from the speakers that managed to get on goes online live tomorrow. For those of you who joined us for the first time, my name is Malcolm Peters. I've just come back from almost a 13 or 15-hour journey from Jordan, 3 hours waiting at the airport there. Went to Cairo and then waited there for nearly 3 hours and 5 hours here. So it's been quite a journey. But I managed to get here completely unfresh, as you can see. I've not had time to really freshen up. When I came online, of all horrors, I couldn't get my webcam to work and I couldn't get the system to work. But at 9:25 today, on the 11th of March 2018, we have got the call started. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all, if I can, to my first speaker. My first speaker is someone I met 3 years ago. I think it was in Frankfurt, if I remember rightly. We went to this jeunesse event, and I'd asked Paula who this young chap was, walking around with a little hat, and she said, "This is a future megastar. He's opening up at the moment, Greece for us, etc., etc." I had never heard from him before because most of the people I know in networking over the 30 years are European. He is European, originally from Germany, but he migrated, I believe, out to America quite a while back. He's been phenomenally successful in Global Partners Group. He's built up a gigantic organization, and were it not for him, we wouldn't have the massive teams that we now have in Greece and Cyprus, and we certainly wouldn't have the teams in Turkey as well. My first guest is my pleasure and my privilege to introduce you all to Dino Alvarez, calling in from America today, talking about something I think is totally relevant to a call such as this: mindset and skill set. I'm going to go offline if I can to see if I can hunt down the other two speakers. If I can't, the show goes on. Over to you, Dino. I'm going to pass it on to you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Fantastic. You know what, Malcolm? You look very fresh. About
13 hours. I haven't slept for 13 hours.
You guys know that I was, last time you saw me, last week you saw me with Andri and Rolando's. Inside. So I know exactly what you're talking about, traveling, but you look very fresh.
Thank you very much.
You look very fresh. So thank you. Thank you for having me on the call again. So sorry for everyone that you have to see this ugly mug 2 weeks in a row of mine. However, I hope that I will be able to just, share a couple of thoughts. And of course, every time you travel and, you see team members and you get in contact with potential new business partners, potential new customers, there's always some new input that you get when you realize and say, hey, it's being in the field and knowing, getting the pulse of everything that is happening. It's also important and crucial because that means that it doesn't matter how long you do this business, even if you're new or if you're a seasoned network marketer and super experienced. It shows us that it is super, super important that we constantly not only learn, but sometimes also adjust to what we do. I hope it makes sense to what I say. But that's definitely something that I live by, and I think there is never a time where you stop learning. Our industry is all about learning, and it could very much be that you hear something from a brand new distributor, never did network marketing before, and all of a sudden you say, oh my God, that's so right. That's so true. Why didn't I think about that? So, one thing that is definitely coming constantly into my mind about the business, and whenever I educate myself and I read different books, there's always one topic that is on top, is mindset. And I think that us doing business, or in any kind of business, or in anything you do actually, you need to have the right mindset. I hope you all agree with me that we need to have the mindset. In addition to this, of course, we need also some skill set. But it is well known and scientifically proven that if your mindset is there, you're actually 80% you got the job done. And only 20% is actually skill set in order to get the job done, in order to get there where you want. And I hope I'm going to be able within the next 10 minutes to let you know what I mean by that. So, when I talk about mindset, there is something, and I had an example on my trip now in Greece and in Cyprus. There were distributors approached me and said, Dino, I know everything you guys are talking and everything you train on. I know all that stuff, but still something is stopping me to do the right thing. And I'm sure many of you have heard that. I've heard that many, 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 many times. So, and when you break it down, you will realize that we actually manipulate ourselves. There is something in our mind And I'm sure on the unconscious level, that stops us do what we need to do. And there is something also, it's called, you know, the gesture. Like if we have an intention, if we have a thought in our mind, you know, the thought that is manipulating us, this is mirroring, and people can see that. To give you a little example, whoever has a dog, like I do, okay? If I tell my dog, let's go out and, you know, go for a walk, all happy, run. The day where I take him to the groomer or to the vet, he knows. He doesn't run. He knows exactly that something is up. And you know why? Because my intention, mirroring actually, it's called in micro gestures in my face, in my voice, in my body language. Dogs pick it up, and guess what? Humans pick this up too. So I'm sorry, I don't want to compare us to dogs or, you know, to ants to the animal kingdom. However, it is something that is so crucial that our intentions can be read by everyone else. So if our intention, or we have, let's say we have a blockage, you know, in our mindset, people will see that. And this intention or this fear will be read through micro gesture, through our body language, our voice, our tone, and the face gesture. So maybe it would be interesting to have a skill set that is capable to eliminate this kind of intention or something that manipulates us to do what we have to do, to say the right thing, to show. Because what the distributors told me, that they said, you know, something is holding me back. One lady said to me, I don't want people to think that I'm using them in order to make commissions, or I don't want people to think that I'm using them in order to make money. I don't know if you guys have heard that before, but yes, that's what I hear very often. So I would like to give you maybe a solution for that, because this is a mindset that you cannot change. Can you imagine? You have this feeling and you go out, and by the way, it's not only one or two or five, there are many that have this obstacle, and that's what I mean, that you mutilate yourself. So there would be maybe a solution how you could change this mindset that you don't feel like that. And it could be something like thinking that you just add another option to someone's life. How about that? Another option. It could be another option. I mean, think about it. When we are consumers, we have so many options to choose what skincare, what health supplements. We are bombarded every day by advertising what kind of product we're going to use. All we do is we add another option to people. So by just thinking that way, you all of a sudden, hopefully, can change your mindset that you're not using anyone, manipulating anyone to make profit. You're just sharing another option. And another option of income stream. It's another option. I'm sharing with you this business opportunity as another option for you to have an additional income stream, to change your life, to pay off, you know, your credit card, your debt, whatever it is. I'm just adding another option. So this might be a solution, you know, for your mindset to come down and say, okay, yeah, it's just another option, because there's so many and plenty of opportunities for people out there in products or in business, whatever it is. I'm just adding another option. The second thing is, that I heard as well on this trip, and that's why I love this trip. It's so important. As I said, you're learning constantly. Is that again? People saying, you know, oh, I'm afraid to talk about something. Again, I don't want them to think of me something. You're more worried about what people will think about you. Well, guess what? They think anyways everything about you already. You cannot manipulate that. But if you're so worried about it, announce it, address it, talk to them about it. For example, you can say, I'm absolutely comfortable with you, you know, that you decide that this business opportunity is nothing for you at this moment. But what I'm uncomfortable with is not to share it with you. I'm absolutely comfortable with you not using my skincare. But what I'm uncomfortable with, absolutely uncomfortable with, is not to share it with you as an additional option of what you can choose. You see, by adding the option or by saying, I'm absolutely comfortable for you, it's okay for you not to take, you know, my option that I'm sharing with you, you actually take all this pressure away from anyone to think, oh my God, he wants something from me or she wants something from me. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. But it helps. These two little things might help you to change your mindset, because now your intention is a different one. And guess what? By just using these words, this is a skill set. But just using these words, adding an option, and I'm comfortable and uncomfortable. These are three words that actually change something when you talk to someone in your communication. It actually creates a reaction. It demands a reaction, a different way of thinking. So now we basically deal with mindset, or we give you some options to think about differently. And the second parallel to that, we added a few words that actually can change your communication, help you, but help also the person that you talk to change the way that they see things. But once again, and I know that this is going to be a topic, I think, Lizzo, you said that it's going to be a topic. It's not all about, you don't need to know everything. It's so true, because 90% of the whole, let's call it the presentation, which I think should be just a dialogue between two human beings, you know, is actually body gesture, facial expressions, which is this micro, led by intention, voice, tonality of your voice, and only 10% is what we say. So you're absolutely right, we don't need to need everything. We don't need to know everything. But we do need a few skill sets in order to get our mindset correct. And this is something that, especially when you're new, you know, we always talk about and say, you know, use your enthusiasm, use your experience to share right away, your business and the products and all that. By being authentic and doing exactly that, you basically take care of that. These words and these kind of options just change something that make it so much easier for us. And that is something that I learned on this trip, that I read about, and I can say that it's so true. So Malcolm, this is from my side for today, a few mindset and options.
You have the most incredible smile. Everyone knows that smile. Thank you so much. I'm going to just share with people as we settle down for this call that's had a few glitches. This call is a perfect example of what happens to us in normal businesses. Now, when I started off yesterday, I contacted Dino, and I'd just like to say thank you online live for his incredible contribution today, because while I was in Jordan preparing for the call on my journey, so I don't believe in making excuses for anything. I think to myself, right, although I'm traveling, most people would have loved to have got back, because I haven't actually slept since 6 a.m. yesterday morning. I've had about an hour on one of the planes, I believe. But you can't sleep on a plane. It's impossible, not for myself anyway. And I'd spoken to Dino, and Dino said, I've got a cold, Malcolm, and I'm not sure I can make it on the call. And so I put out a call to everyone who can help me. And then Dino came back and said, you know what, I'm going to take some reserve, and I'm going to make an effort to get onto this call. And that's something to do with something I believe in totally about mindset as well. It's about perseverance and patience, and that's what you need. I'm patient enough today to make sure that regardless of what happened, with all the technical difficulties that I had, as cool as a cucumber, or tried to be, I wanted to make sure that the show goes on. The show always goes on. That's in my vocabulary, the most important thing. It's like everything, I tell people that you put everything that you've got into everything that you do. Don't start half-winded. Don't think, oh, well, I'll give it a try. I could make up an excuse and say, well, you know what, we didn't get started for 15 minutes, let's cancel the call. Some of my speakers sometimes have done that in the past. They'll say, well, the call hasn't started on time, so I don't need to be on there. So I really like to thank you for setting the scene really for tonight's call, Dino, and sharing with us mindset. I'd like to share further if I can and elaborate on that before I bring my other fantastic guests online. This is all about mindset. It's how you think. And I want you to think about what I'm going to say next very, very carefully. Dino covered it briefly. It's not actually the words that you speak that people listen to. It's the melody of the music that comes out of your mouth. It's what you say. It's how you say it. And you get that through passion, belief, and conviction in what we actually do. If you have any doubts about this business, it's because you're not spending any time understanding what it actually is. What is this business? I tell people that throughout Jordan, I've been to places you've never heard of before, tiny, almost poverty-stricken places in some cases, where people are earning $150 a month or less. But I've gone out there with great passion and ambition, knowing that we've got a vehicle that can change people's lives. So although we have a translator, my friend Mohammed, my brother Mohammed, who translates and doesn't always get it right, what people feel at the meetings is the passion that I have for the business, a passion that I have for the products. Dino's covered the point that some people come up. Dino, I'll say this live on this call. It's called excusatitis. It's called the failure disease. People will think of every possible excuse to give you a reason why things are not going the way they should. To say, well, I'm a bit nervous about sharing my product with people because I'm worried about what they think. Can I just share with you on this call something I passionately believe in, and you should write this down and believe it and understand it, and it's this. The only people's opinions you should care about and take note of are the opinions of the people that will cry when you're dead. Nobody else's opinions matter. They don't pay your bills. They don't help you in life. They don't help you emotionally, spiritually on this phenomenal path that we've got called life. So I personally come from a different school and maybe a bit too aggressive at times. I don't really take notice of that. I use sentences that help me to open doors. For example, I say things like, Dino, I like you and I trust you. And I know you like me and you trust me. I've got a product I'm really excited about. I really have to share it with you because you're a friend. If I come up with an opening statement like that, I like you and I trust you, and I know that you like me and you trust me, it opens up the door as well. So Dino's absolutely right that it's got a lot to do with posture, mindset, and skill set. Skill set, people spend 4 years, 5 years learning how to be an accountant, 8 years to become a doctor, but they're not prepared, Dino, to spend just a good few weeks to understand exactly what we do in this business. And I want you to write this down before I bring my next guest on. We are not in the convincing business. We are in the sorting business. And I've got to tell you that one person can open up an entire country. And when you guys learn that from my next call, because next week I am here for the next 6 weeks, I'll do that call and I'll be a speaker on that call, is that it's about the fact that we don't go out trying to convince anybody about our product, and we don't go out trying to convince anybody about our business. What we do is we're guides, and we guide people through an information gathering process. If they like what we've got, that's great. If they don't, that's great as well. My next speaker is a wonderful lady who's qualified as a Sapphire Elite. She's calling in from Canada today. And I think it's wonderful, the persistence that my speakers have shown today, which was a catastrophic start, as you probably gathered. And my battery levels are really low at the moment, so I try and make the most of being the host on this call. But it's wonderful that it's still made the effort. They believe in the fact that they have to make this contribution on Sundays and share with you. And my next speaker, Laurie Niskovsky, calling in from Canada, Sapphire Elite, is going to share with you another element, a skill set that you need to develop. It's a skill set about handling objections. People will give you reasons of why they don't want to join, or they'll say things that sometimes sound to you like an objection. Laurie's going to cover with you an angle that she's got and ways that she deals with objection handling in our business. Laurie Niskovsky calling in from Canada.
Well, thank you, Malcolm. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Perfect. Well, I want to say I'm with Dino. You look pretty amazing considering you've had no sleep, and and talk about committed. Boy, you are absolutely committed to all of us and for training and supporting us. So thank you so much for inviting me back. It's always a pleasure to be here. Yeah, so I'm going to share a little bit about objections. You know, I really feel that to be successful as a network marketer, we really have to get really good at learning how to overcome objections. And, you know, the first thing I want to say is that objections are not about you. They are not about you at all. They really are about the person that you are speaking to. And I think that, you know, we sometimes will look at it, oh, I've been given this person's asked me this, or this person doesn't want to do this business because they say they have no time. That's not what they're saying. I really believe that objections really mean two things. Number one, they may mean that they really don't want to do the business, and maybe they don't want to hurt your feelings and they're not sure how to say no. But I think more so, objection is it's a fear. And it's something that's maybe holding them back. They are maybe fear of not being successful, or fear of not knowing what to do. And I think, you know, really it's their obstacle that they want to overcome. And they're really just saying to you, show me a way. Show me a way to make this happen. Show me a way to be successful. And I think that, you know, if we know the bullet points about our company, if we know the bullet points about our product, and we know, you know, how this opportunity can change people's lives, then we actually can, in many ways, overcome the objection before it's even presented to us. Especially, and I'm always sharing with my team, if you actually know someone and you know they're busy, or you know they're a stay-at-home mom, or you know that they don't have a lot of money, or whatever it is, try and overcome the objection before they give it to you. And if you can do that, you're way ahead of the game. But, you know, I really believe that when it comes to dealing with an objection, I always insert in my brain that they're basically saying to me, show me a way. So that is one of the things I interpret. So at the end of the day, we are here to show them what's in it for them. Why is this opportunity good for them? Why is this opportunity something that you know, they want or they can do, but also really what's in it for them, but also for showing them a way of how to make it happen. And I think that's what's really important. One of the other things that I've always adopted, and I'm so grateful for Paula Pritchard for teaching this in her book, is really she talks about the feel, felt, found method when it comes to overcoming objections. And I've always used that. To me, it's very, very comfortable. So when I'm overcoming an objection, I think, okay, what do they need to hear? How can I, you know, use the words feel, felt, found, and how can I show how it can work for them? So I'm gonna cover some objections. I think they're probably the most common objections I think that we probably all hear sometime or another. But one of the ones that we get, and I just had it actually the other day, is someone said to me, I find the product really expensive. So my objection, or to overcome that objection, I would say something like, you know what, I understand how you feel. I actually felt the same way first until I realized that there was no other product like it on the market. There really isn't anything out there that can do what our product can do. And it quite often, and I pinpoint the product they're talking about. So if they're talking about Our skincare, I will talk about, there's no other product that has human adult stem cell technology, or if I would talk about, the AM, PM, or the reserve. So I pinpoint their objections, but I basically, will say to them, if I could show you a way that you could take advantage of getting this at wholesale at my cost, or perhaps even earning some money to cover your product, or better yet, how about making some money? Would that be of interest to you? I've also had, just the other day, I had somebody say, well, I don't use skincare. I've never used skincare. And this is really a good one. It almost, actually, the first time I heard that back a while back, it almost took me off guard a little bit. But then I got thinking, you know what? I basically said, I understand how you feel. And I know that some people have felt the exact same way, but I got to share a little something with you. Some of the people who have never used skincare in the past started using our product and expressed to me how their skin felt amazing in just a short week. But you know what? I have to tell you, the beautiful thing about Jeunesse is that we have incredible products, not just for our skin, but also for the inside. And with Jeunesse doing, over 1.3 billion last year, we have products that really, they do work. So if it's not, if skincare isn't for you, let me show you some of the other great products that we have. Another one that's quite common is, and I get this a lot, is I don't have enough time to do this. I'm sure we've all heard this one, I don't have enough time. And so, I understand how you feel. I felt the exact same way too when I first was introduced to this industry. But statistics tell us that the busiest people are always the most successful people. 86% of the people doing this business have another part-time or full-time job. So if I could show you a way that could help you grow your business, make enough money to one day provide you more time freedom to do what you want to do, would that be of interest to you? When somebody says to me, I don't like network marketing, this is one that I have to actually ask some questions. We need to know why. Why don't they like network marketing? Have they tried it? Have they felt that it didn't work? Have they been with more than one company? Have they been with a ton of companies? Have they had a support system? We need to understand that. And that's one of the reasons we need to find out, why don't they like network marketing? Sometimes it's just downright, they don't know enough about it. So, maybe they've seen somebody not be successful at it, so they figure it doesn't work. So, in this case, I actually will say to them, I understand how you feel. And in my opinion, or what I would say is, I say I come from a nursing background. So I really didn't know the first thing about network marketing when I first started this, until I found out that some of the richest and most successful people in the world, like Richard Branson, who owns a network marketing company, Warren Buffett, who owns multiple network marketing companies, people like Robert Kiyosaki promote this industry. In fact, network marketing has created more millionaires than any other form of business model. So if I could show you how our business model works and introduce you to, maybe some top income earners in this industry, would that be of interest to you? When you are opening that question, when somebody says to you, well, I don't like network marketing, you might find that they might say, well, I did network marketing, or I did multi-level marketing, and it doesn't work. And again, that's something you want to dig into. Why do you feel it doesn't work? Again, did they have a bad experience? Whatever. The one particular one that I had was, and this was just recent, I had a gentleman say to me, you know what, I tried this, Lori, it just doesn't work. I got signed up. I spent like $5,000 on a company and never heard from my person ever again who sponsored me. And the first thing I said to him, I absolutely can understand how you would feel that this doesn't work. I would feel the exact same way too. But what I have found, and we are so fortunate in our business, that I belong to a group called the Global Partners Group. This group is made up of wonderful men and women who have huge successful backgrounds in this industry. They've earned multiple incomes. They're icons in the industry. And if I could show you how successful it could be here, if I could get you to, have one of them speak to you, would that be of interest to you? Because it is working. I've also had people say, is this a pyramid? And again, ask questions. We want to know, what do they mean by a pyramid? I know Judy Marie has something that she always says. She says, do you like pyramids? And if they say, well, no, she'll say, great, you're going to love it here. If they say, do you like pyramids? She'll say, do you like pyramids? And if they say, well, yeah, because they're thinking, you know, if you're building two teams, it kind of looks like a triangle, right? So she'll say, if you like, do you like pyramids? And if they say, yeah, she'll say, great, you're going to love it here. But I really want them to know what they're referring to when they say a pyramid. I want to understand what they're referring to as well. So, you know, I would basically tell them, you know, I understand how you feel. I can understand your concern, but please know pyramids are illegal. And I can assure you that this is a solid, reputable company in over 140 countries around the world. We've just, you know, Jeunesse has won over 320 awards and still counting. We've been featured in the media around the world, and our products have solid science and awards behind them. Does that answer your concern? Because if you would, you know, I could show you more information on this, would that be, you know, would that make you feel better? I've also had someone say to me, oh, I could never do what you do. I'm not a salesperson. And, you know, my answer to that is I know how you feel. I felt the exact same way. Again, coming from a nursing background, I had no idea about sales, but then I realized something. I realized that at the time when I started this business, in this industry, I needed extra income, and I had been given a gift. You know, and I'm going to stop for a second because we just heard Dino talk about this as such an opportunity to share with others. But, you know, with me, you know, I would say to them, I was given a gift. There are so many people out there that need Jeunesse or need extra money in their life. And we have an opportunity to not only share that incredible wealth, but also incredible health products and anti-aging products. People are wanting these products. So we have a lot of people that we can help around the world. So if I could show you how you can help others by offering the same gift, would that be of interest to you? Another one that's quite popular, I find, is I can't afford to get into this business. And, you know, my first answer is immediately, I understand how you feel, because when we think of owning a business, oh my gosh, we're thinking of startup costs, overhead costs. But the beautiful thing about having this opportunity and starting your own business with Jeunesse is that with very minimum startup costs, and I usually, when I'm talking to someone, I always make sure that if I'm talking to them, you know, in US, I know what their US startup is, or the Canadian, or, you know, the pounds in the UK, that type of thing. I try to know as much as I can about that, so I can go to them with that. But for here in Canada, I would say to them, you know, for $64.95 plus, you know, a package that best suits you, you are on your way to owning your own business. The bricks and mortar is in your own home. Not to mention that we here in Canada, we have incredible tax benefits from having your own business in your home. So, and you know, if I could show you a way that it may be affordable for you, would that be of interest to you? The last one I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to, because I don't want to take up all the time here, but if someone says to me, well, I don't know anyone. And, you know, sometimes they really don't know a lot of people. And if you start asking a little bit about that, you'll find out. But I basically just say, listen, I can understand how you feel. I know that others have felt the exact same way when they first joined this business. But if I could show you how we could make a list together, work together,
Okay, I think we've lost you there, Lindy. Okay, guys, can you help me out with this? Is Lindy still on?
Yeah.
You are, yes. You are. Sorry about that, Lindy, because you froze up on there. We're having a wonderful technical gremlin today. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can. We can hear you now, yes.
Oh, did I cut out for a bit?
You must have cut out of my machine, because I've got a leprechaun running around inside my PC today, I think. He's either on drugs or tequila at the moment, so I don't know where he is, but I could hear something moving around in the machine. So sorry about that. Last few words from yourself there.
Okay, I will. I'm going to close out very quickly, but I just wanted to say, you know, if you're looking at overcoming objections, read Paula's book, Owning Yourself. There's so many different books out there that you can learn how to overcome objections. Also, you know, when you get an objection, write it down. write it down, go to your support team, go to somebody and say, listen, I got this objection, and make a binder. When I first started in this industry, that's what I did. I had a binder of objections, and I literally learned how to overcome them by writing them down and practicing and practicing. But I really, last thing I just want to say, and again, thank you, Malcolm, for having me here, is you know what? Be proud of what you're doing. Be proud of that you are a network marketer. Be proud of this company. Be proud of the team we're on. Let people, you heard Malcolm say it a second ago, let people hear the music in you. Your confidence will show through, and you will be the attraction to this company as well as the opportunity. And if you don't know how to overcome one of their objections, or they have a question and they're not sure, you know, just tell them, I'll get back to you about that. But if they trust you, if they hear the music inside of you, they're overcoming the objection is going to happen naturally. So with that, I want to say thank you so much, Malcolm, for again inviting me.
I think that's a fantastic contribution. Like I said, we had Ruby director Dino beforehand. We've got me that looks like a space cadet that's at the moment, and I haven't had any tequila, or I don't do drugs, but 16 hours later, I can almost understand what it must be like there. And we've had Laurie really sharing with us, I think, a very important part, objection handling. Can I just add to a few things to that? And I you know, feel, felt, found is something I absolutely live by, and I use it in all of my trainings. But some of the things you can also do to add to some of the notes, because I'm going to bring my next guest on. I've got 2 guests talking about the subject. I believe we can do a whole panel of speakers talking about this subject. Objection handling, to me, is one of the most important skill sets we can develop in new people, because they are what we call reflex objections. I'm just going to share with you a few seconds of my time, because I think it's important you understand. A reflex objection, I've been a trainer for many years, and I've taught people, is this. A reflex objection is one like when you walk into a shop. Imagine when you walk into a shop, I'm standing there, I said, hi, can I help you, please? What's the first thing that comes out of your mouth? No, thank you, I'm just looking. And you spend 2 hours looking for something, and you don't know where it is or whatever it is, because you automatically close yourself off. That's called a reflex objection. And our role is to teach all of our distributors how to find out whether it's a reflex objection or it's a real objection. And really, it's fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. Maybe they're just asking for more information. Some people think when someone says something, oh my God, you know, I'm getting a lot of objections at the moment, Malcolm. And a lot of them are just people who are saying, stop, I'm not prepared to proceed further with this until you help me to understand the point that you've just made. So things like, for example, when people say to me it's too expensive, I'll come out with something like, compared to what? I just smile and say, well, compared to what? Because if they say, well, like Lancome or Clinique, I can deal with that. I say, you know what? I know how you feel, felt, found. And I think Laurie's absolutely right. I'm not going to take up much more stage space from my next guest, because my next guest, I love her very much, is a lady who I've got to know quite well. I've met her only once in London. She turned up with Ian on their world travel from India on their way here. And I'm so pleased I met her, because she's been fantastic coming on these calls. And what I like about the whole of this panel, I just call them up. I say, hey, we've got a call, and regardless of technical difficulties that come online, my next guest is calling in from Canada again, Colleen Ferguson, and she's going to be talking to you about objections with a twist. I believe that all of us should spend time dealing with objections. I love the idea that Laurie's given us to make a notebook of them or to make a file of them, and we should be talking about this and training our distributors as often as we can. Here's another view of it coming in from Sapphire Elite, someone I'm very, very fond of, Colleen Ferguson, calling in from Canada. Objections with a twist.
Well, thank you, Malcolm. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, I'm going to talk about objections with a twist. And the reason why it is with a twist is because, as Laurie said, objections are not about you until they are about you. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people get into this business and they're all excited and they're doing great and they're moving along and talking to people, and then they start to lose some confidence, and then they start to lose some self-esteem. And then all of a sudden, all the objections they have been trained to handle when they're talking to strangers are about themselves. So they're really just excuses. That's what objections are. They're just excuses to not do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. You get a little bit out of your comfort zone and you start to not like what you're doing. You maybe are getting more no's than you thought you were going to get. So you start to come up with excuses, which are actually your own objections against yourself. So saying things like, you know, it doesn't work. I mean, people that give this industry 6 months or even a year, and then they say, you know, this just doesn't work. I mean, it is a business. And this is what I think most people forget. It's a real business. The reason why they think it's not a real business is because it doesn't feel like a real business, because you don't get up and get in your car and go to work every day and do a regular job like you're used to doing. But it is a real business. So if you're going to give it 6 months, like when I owned my bridal shop, I had a bridal shop for 10 years. I think a lot of you know that. When I went to my husband and I said, you know, honey, I want to start this business. I got this great idea. You know, we'll mortgage our house and we'll start this business, and I'll bring in all this stock. And we mortgaged $180,000 against my home to start my bridal shop. What do you think my husband would have said if I said after 6 months, you know, honey, I've tried, but it just doesn't work? And we start back over and I go work for someone else again. So I think if people can really, truly understand this as a real business, do not say, don't even use the word tried. I just don't even like that word. I don't like it when people say, I'll try it. Just do it. Just tell yourself you're going to do it and you're going to be successful. And like Dino said, get your mindset right and you will succeed. You know, I remember being at an event once and we heard about university students that go to university to become a doctor. And 100 students start the class. And at the end of the whole course, there's maybe 5 or 6 that actually became doctors. Does that mean that the university didn't work? Or does it mean the students didn't work? No, it doesn't mean they didn't work. It just means their mindset wasn't right at that time for them. And maybe if they took the course over again, it would work for them. So understand that it is about you. That's what's not working, not the business. Okay, so it's really important to get that straight. And like Lori said, a lot of people talk about not having any time. And, you know, she's absolutely right. Busiest people are the ones that get things done. But at the end of the day, we all have 24 hours in a day. If you work a full-time job, you work for 8 hours most likely, you sleep for 8 hours, and it's what you do with those other 8 hours left in your 24 will make or break whether you are successful or you're not. And what I find the best thing to do is, if you are someone who's busy, say you're a teacher and you find you're busy because after school you're, you know, marking grades or whatever, find another teacher who's successful at this business and figure out what it is they do that made them successful. Always try to match yourself up with someone else who's hugely successful and figure out what it is they did. You know, I remember following Cheryl Cortese, who's a $1 million earner, and she said that she just would weave her business in and out of her day in 15-minute intervals throughout the day, every day. And the key was consistency, not how many hours you can put into whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, but being consistent at that. Because at the end of the day, I mean, time's going to pass us all by anyway. So, you know, if you can just figure out, match yourself up with someone who is successful, that is like you. And that is, I think, the key. And then you know it's possible. It's you that has to adjust. You have to change. You have to work on self-improvement and get yourself to the point that you are seeing success. And if you know, Lori was saying, you know, if you don't like sales, someone says, I'm not a salesperson, I hate selling to people. Well, what that tells me when someone says that is they really truly don't believe what it is they have to offer is adding value to someone else's life. That's what that means. If you say, I don't like to sell, well, then you clearly feel that you're selling something and you're not adding value to them with either the product or the opportunity. So you need to get your head straight about that before you'll be able to successfully grow your business. And it really truly is about just filling people's needs. If you find someone needs help with their wealth or their health, and what you have you don't feel actually will do that for them, then this business isn't for you. You have to know it in your heart of hearts that you are here to add value to someone else's life. That's what we're all here to do, whether it's gaining some self-improvement, and then once you've done that, you pass that on to someone else and add value to their life. Or it's the products. The products has changed my life dramatically, and now I want to pass those on to other people. But if I didn't believe that that's what the product would do for someone, then that's where you start saying, you know, I don't like selling. It's an excuse. It's just an excuse to not want to do it. You feel uncomfortable, so you don't do it. You have to know you're adding value to their life. And one of the biggest things with excuses is fear. And I can tell you from the bottom of my soul that fear was a big problem with myself. And what I learned about fear is that it actually can be a self-centered emotion. And I'll explain what I mean by that. For me, I was afraid of flying. And Malcolm, as you're saying, we went to India and came to London. We actually took 8 airplanes to get to India and back. And I have a huge fear of flying. So how did I get over that fear? And you can apply this to any fear you have that's holding you back. I decided that the fear was all about Colleen, and it had nothing to do with my team and me helping them learn the business and grow themselves and getting face to face with them to show them how to do this business. So if I continued to say, I'm afraid of flying, I cannot go to India, that's all about me. And it's got nothing to do with anybody else but Colleen. So once I understood that, then you can slowly start to overcome your fears. Also, another thing about fears is you literally just worry too much about what other people think of you. So if you're afraid of speaking in public, if you're afraid of rejection, you're afraid of failure, those are all emotions where you care too much about what other people think of you. So just stop. Just stop. Believe in yourself. Again, if you believe in what you have is adding value to someone's life, what is there to be afraid of? So these are just things that that I do. I also believe that all excuses are choices. They're not facts, they're choices. So you can choose to be too busy. That's a choice. It's not a fact. You can allow fear to stop you. That's a choice. You can choose to just give up and say this doesn't work. You can choose to let other people affect you and change your direction and your path to success. And therefore, you're choosing to just settle for exactly where you are today. And I can guarantee you that's probably going to be exactly where you are 5 to 10 years from now. So it's just be mindful of yourself and what you're feeling, and just always telling yourself that, just be aware, like, this is how I'm feeling. What does that mean? And figure it out, and figure out how to take it off yourself, and figure out how that, once you conquer it, can then enable you to help other people be successful or conquer their fears in any way you can. With that, Malcolm, back to you. That was helpful. Sorry for the technical difficulties today, but
well, you know, the great thing is the show does go on, and I think that the content so far has been absolutely fantastic. And I've got to say, I love your wall display, by the way. I need to work on something like that, because I've got this thing here that's not quite working out. Nothing compared to yours. A beautiful display that you've got there.
Thank you.
I think it's a great job. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I think that a couple of things were said. Can I just add to you with and this is absolutely something that I do. When people come up with this pyramid objection, a lot of people are talking from their bottoms. They don't understand what they're talking about. So there are a couple of things I want to share with you very quickly, if I may, because it's always great to spice up the call and add the Peter's touch here, I think. Is, first of all, when someone says to you, you know, this is a bit like pyramid selling, or is this pyramid selling? Always ask the question, you know, I always recommend that you do this. You need to find out whether it's a reflex objection or it's a real objection. And one of the things I love saying, which I'll cover on my call next week, is, and I'll use this in everything that I do, you obviously have a good reason for saying that. Do you mind me asking you what it is? So Rolanda says to me, Malcolm, this looks a bit like pyramid selling. I said, well, you know, I appreciate that. You obviously have a good reason for saying that. Do you mind me asking you what it is? If you ask that, they have to give you a reason for why they've made that statement. Malcolm, I think you're a real beep. And I said, before I cosh you, you obviously have a good reason for saying that. You might be asking you what it is. So it's important that we ask that question. Pyramid selling I also do, and I do it quite aggressively, is when someone says to me, this looks a bit like pyramid selling. If I don't like them, you know what I turn around and say to them? I said, are you on drugs? or do you need some? Because I spent a lot of time in Amsterdam. They've got some Class A's you can buy. You can get like menus of stuff like that. You think I'm going to call myself Mustafa or Abdul? I'm going to go to Cairo. I'm going to get myself a smelly old camel, sit on it with a turban, sit by the pyramids and try and sell them. You think I'm going to try and sell pyramids? You know, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're talking about. I actually, people say, you don't do that, do you? I actually really do that. I go up to a person and say, are you on drugs? Do you think I'm going to go call myself Abdul and sit in Cairo and sell pyramids? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean. That's what they said. No, no, what I mean is, and also I found from my experiences, ask people, say, would you be kind enough to explain to me, you know, you obviously have a good reason for saying that. Do you mind me asking what it is? Would you be kind enough to draw out for me on the piece of paper here what you mean and show me what you mean? And many, many times I'll draw you a stupid little pyramid with someone at the top of it and them at the bottom. I said, well, that looks like a jackass off boss thing, where you're the jackass, there's the boss at the top, and you're the jackass at the bottom. Is that what you mean? Like you're a boss and you? We'll cover that on the call, but I think that's quite important as well. So thank you very much for that contribution. Now, I've got to hunt down one of my speakers. I'm going to ask both of those fantastic ladies. I'm going to be spending some time with them, and I can assure you, causing lots of mayhem in South Africa in June to hold, because I'd like to make my next speaker, if I can. He's always very good. He always waits right towards the end, and he comes on. He's always supported this call with his fantastic partner, Andriani. I'd like, if it's okay with yourself, Lindy, and with Liesl, to bring my next guest on, if I can. He's someone who I really admire. He's got a fantastic, fantastic team. Very, very shortly to become a Ruby. He's a Sapphire Elite at the moment in Nicosia in Cyprus. Someone I call brother, and I love his contribution. His contribution today is be a lobster. So I'm dying to hear what he says. Rolandos Haralampos calling in from Nicosia in Cyprus. Be a lobster.
Malcolm, first thing is first. This business is all about dedication. And let me tell you, to consume 2 bottles of tequila, fly for 15 hours, face computer glitches, and still do a call, that, my brother, is dedication. So there you go. That being said, today's contribution from me is going to be a bit of a smorgasbord. And I'm going to start with an experience I had tonight. And it concerns the list, the proverbial list. We are working on a list for a new project with one of our team Sapphires. And she's writing names down, going down the right side and the left side, going deep to see who she's going to work with on this new project. And she's writing. For the first time, I saw her writing. We move on to the next subject. And she says, oh, this just came to mind. I've got to write down Martha and Nina on this list. If you don't write your list on a piece of paper or a notebook and have it, this experience will not take place. You will not remember something and then say, oh, I'm going to add this to my mental people list, and then get back to it and make the phone call and get the appointment and get the sale or the new partner. So this happened tonight. I had to get it in here because a lot of people tell me, oh, I've got my phone. My list is on my phone. That's not a list. If you don't write it, you will not get to the phone call. And the chances are, unless you run into somebody by accident, you won't be doing that appointment. And God knows who you might be missing. So that's the first part. The second, I got so much from this call, and it all pertains to what I wanted to talk about tonight. Dino talked about intentions and offering one more option. And Malcolm, when you mentioned the word melody, I thought of my favorite song in the world. I mean, guys, imagine a song everybody knows. Hotel California, without the music. Just say the lyrics. Do you like it? So it's all about how we say it and not so much about what we say. And then luring, objections. Knowing the bullet points, she's so dead on right. If you know the bullet points, you can probably knock out 90% of the objections before they even come up. And then Colleen talked about objections after the sign-up. And this is a real business. You know, I actually forget that sometimes because I get up in the morning, I'll go to the gym, I'll go for coffee, I'll make some phone calls, and I'll do everything on my own time. Colleen, you drove it home. This is what business is all about. I own my time. So thank you for that. And let's move on to being lobsters. Like Dr. Amzalak says, George is one of the most famous lobsters in the world. He was captured and kept, and then he was released as a marketing gimmick, and he's estimated to be 220 years old today. Lobsters are actually immortal animals in their internal system. They can only die from infections they get from on their shell. And they're the only animals that can, not only, they're one of the few animals or species that can regrow their own telomeres. That is why they're immortal. But lobsters are also very soft and mushy animals that live in a shell, a rigid shell that does not expand. So this raises a very important question. How can a lobster grow and progress or grow? How can we grow? Well, a lobster, as it starts growing, it gets, the shell gets very confining. So the lobster feels very uncomfortable and a lot of pressure. So it has two choices. Make excuses, go to the doctor and get a Valium or a Percocet. If lobsters had doctors, by the way, they would never grow. Or go under a rock formation where they're protected from other predatory species of fish, and they break their own shell. They actually eat at it, cut it with their, and then they break it. They get rid of it and they form a new one that can actually fit their soft, mushy structure. And the lobster continues to grow. And this will happen several dozens of times in a lobster's life, which could be as much as 300 years or 400 years. And the question is, when our shell becomes too small, what do? You see, the stimulus for a lobster to grow is that it feels uncomfortable. So when you feel uncomfortable in this business, when you feel uncomfortable, and Colleen, you gave me such a great pass. You should be quarterback. So when you feel this discomfort, that is your time to grow. That is our time to grow. And how do you do it? You get on that plane and you 8 times in a span of 2 weeks, and you fly to India and all over India. That is how you do it. So that leads me, though, to my next point. Times of stress are also times for growth. And if we use this adversity properly, we are going to grow and progress. And this brings me to the most important word in the English dictionary, if you ask me. Progress is the mother of all happiness. Here's why. Imagine that you're working on a relationship that's not going so well. If you see no progress, you stay upset, you stay down. If you have a breakthrough, and they actually call it a breakthrough, you feel good. Oh, things are looking good. We're doing much better. If sales are a little bit up in a company that's failing, hope kicks in. And that is due to progress. But how can we get to progress the right way? I can tell you all the bells and whistles of make your phone calls and this and that. That's actually secondary. There are 3 main disciplines that lead to progress. And the first one, my friends, is integrity. Dino, you also gave me a great pass, because when you deal with people from a point of integrity, you know you're telling them the truth. You know you've asked the right questions and you got the answers so you can provide proper solutions. And if you're truly and honestly solving somebody's problem, if they tell you they don't have any money, then you really know they're not for this business or they're not for this product. And if they just give you some poor excuse, poor bottom-end excuses, Malcolm would say, then you know, you go away feeling good because you know you've done everything you can to help them, because you gave them just another solution to their problem, a really good one. But if you don't deal with them from a point of integrity, you'd start to self-doubt. So if you do nothing else in your life, network marketing or not, I learned a long time ago that integrity is the most important value or most important discipline you can have in your life. And the second discipline is balance. And here, I'd like you to think of a person who has a leg, a pain in their leg, or a pain, an ache that's forcing them to limp a little. How do they walk? How do they stay upright and not fall? They favor the leg that's okay, and they only use the other leg that's in pain to stay in balance. Life is exactly like that. And when you deal with somebody, when you talk to a prospect, or when you talk to yourself, should I stay in this business? Should I not? It's been 6 months. I'm not doing so well. Think of how you can balance your life. Because if you quit network marketing today, your life in 6 months to 12 months will be either the same or maybe worse. But for sure, it won't be better unless you find something else to fill that time with. And the question about network marketing, oh, I spent $5,000, I think it was Colleen that said it, and it doesn't work. Did you go to work? My first sponsor, guys, in Amway, he was a wealthy man at the time already. And you know what he did? He rented an office, and everyone that was his front line had to go and sit on the desk like a job and make phone calls until we got used to being network marketers and we understood what the phone was and what making the phone calls was all about. Only then did he give our desk to the next guy. So, and the last virtue, the last discipline is decision. And the last one means you have to decide using your integrity and to always maintain balance. Don't oversell. Don't undersell. Ask the right questions and break out of your comfort zone, solve people's problems, because that's really going to put you in a new comfort zone, that of knowing your stuff, for lack of a better word. And when you do this, deal with people from a point of integrity, keep balance, and decide using the first two, magic starts happening. People start to know you, like you, and trust you. And who do people like to do business with? And with that being said, Malcolm, back to you.
Absolutely fantastic. You know, I always enjoy, and my regards to Andriani, miss her on this call. She's not very well, I heard. So I think it's amazing. You know, like Dino really had a cold. He was in a terrible way. He came on this call. We've had gremlins running around my machine. So far, I think the content of this call has been absolutely epic. I think it's wonderful information. I think everybody should take notes from it. My next guest, I believe, is online today. I can't tell because she has a real problem with her connections. And it's someone I admire greatly. I know this lady quite well. If she's not there, I'm going to build her accolade up anyway. She is someone who had a great fear of people. And I know from Oliver and I know from Lindy and everybody else, she had a real problem standing in front of a crowd, trying to talk to people. She has achieved tremendous success and she's really grown and really advanced in South Africa. Someone who's looked up to, someone who's admired. I admire, certainly do. And I know a lot of other people do as well. We're going to find out. We've got her online. We've got Lisa. Lisa, are you online? Lisa de Memory calling in from South Africa. Let's see if we got her online first. Hi, Lisa.
Malcolm.
Hi, darling. We can't see you. Your camera's off now. You're either in your Bushman outfit at the moment because you've been out there, you know, doing things that you're not supposed to do, or you've been bloodletting. I just got to add before I do, Lisa, that for my good friend, we don't have tequila in Jordan. It's a dry state, and for one vodka and tonic, it cost me $17. At that rate, I can assure you 2 bottles out the question. So I've been very dry for the last month. Lisa, we can't see you, my dear. So is your camera faulty, or is this by choice at the moment that we can't see you?
No, I think it's just the line, Malcolm.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, Lisa, is I'm going to, without further ado, pass you on, guys. So we're not going to see lovely Lisa. I want you to imagine and visualize a gorgeous blonde, blue eyes, mother of 2 children, an absolutely phenomenal girl who's gone a long, long way building this business. She's a Sapphire Elite, and she's on her way now to making her way to Ruby. Lisa calling in from South Africa, who's going to talk to you about a subject that I think is very, very important, a subject really that's the core of our business. It's called storytelling and the power of stories. Lisa.
Hi, Malcolm. So thanks very much for having me in the call. It's always a pleasure to be on one of these calls. And, we had a great lineup tonight, and it's such a privilege, to hear from all these amazing leaders. The topic that I want to speak about tonight is basically recruiting with your story, not the product and not the opportunity. So in network marketing, I think storytelling is so crucial. It's a way that we all connect. It's a way that we teach. It's a way that we remember. And information in itself is wonderful. But what really connects people, what makes people, you want to be involved with things, is finding themselves in what they are looking at. So the key for us, is to be interested, not interesting. I see so many people spend the majority of their time, trying to be compelling, thinking, what can I say? How can I present for people to join me? So what are people's favorite topic? I want you guys to think about this just for a second. It's themselves. So the easiest way to go about, getting anything done is to do what people are not expecting you to do, and that is to find out about them. What's their story? Where are they at? Because when you know that, you know everything. And it really doesn't matter if people join you or not, because you are giving them an opportunity to be a hero in your story. Every time someone is willing to have a look, at what you are doing, whether they say yes or no, they are giving you the opportunity to become better. People always ask me, Liesl, what gave you the guts to speak to people or to do a good presentation? And as I'm sitting here, I don't know if I'm any better today, but I know I'm definitely better when I did it the first time. I know if you go out there and talk to, somebody for the 10th time, you'll be better than you were the first time. So if every one of those 10 people tell you no, it doesn't matter. They help you to get better. I know if you go out and put out, let's say an ad, the 25th ad that you place will be better than the first one you placed. Because of all the people that didn't respond, or maybe they responded negatively, you learn from their experience. So everybody that you come into contact with, you are giving them a chance to have what everybody wants, and that's to matter, to be important. So the first rule of any good story is basically, if you think about this, in their minds, people are begging you, make me care. And the only way that you can do that is to make people know who you are. Everyone is so concerned, to get people. You don't want to get people. You want to find people, people, but the right people as well. And the right people are going to resonate with who you are. Because I believe that great businesses are built by great teams, and great groups of people that share the same values, the same dreams, the same vision, who come together to create something great and to stay together, to do so. I look around and I see all these people who are so caught up in making sales. Now, we know that selling is very important. You can't be in business if you're not creating revenue. But I think the most expensive thing that you can ever do is to find someone, new to do business with. I don't care how many people you recruit. Once somebody agrees to do business, with you, that costs money and it costs a lot of your time. So I think the most valuable business that you can do is a business with, a person that can relate to you and that you can relate with. Um, it's so important, to make friends first. Ask about them. Be genuinely interested in them. Eventually, they're going to ask you. So tell me, so what do you do for a living? And that is where I come in. I tell my story. I don't pitch the business. Um, I really believe that the best thing of this business is not the money, it's not the fancy cars or the trip. It's when you meet people and they come up to you and they say something, little something that you did or something that you said, or even your story made a difference in my life, even though I've never met these people. And I believe that is the biggest payoff for me in this business. You know, it's the stories that connects people. It's the stories that people can relate to. Products are just commodities. There's not a single product today that a customer, you know, can't find a viable alternative for if they feel that you did not make them feel good. Nobody cares what you do, nobody cares what you say, but everybody will care, you know, how you make them feel. If you can't go out and find out everybody's story, then you have to go out and tell them yours. So when I started this business, I didn't have a story. People used to ask me when I was second of business, so how much money have you made? What's your story? I went and I used Oliver's story. He was 26 years old, came out of a tennis career, didn't make a lot of money. He saw this opportunity, he went full out, and look at him now. And so while you don't have your own story, you use someone else that's successful in the business. And I promise you this, they will relate to it if you are honest with people and you tell them, listen, this is not always an easy business. Even if you have success, you need to know, people need to know what came before that. That is what people will remember and relate to. So let me give you an example. One of the most successful companies in the world is Apple. Apple is not a phone business, but they changed the phone industry, and they aren't, in the music business, but they changed the music industry. So if you think about Samsung, Samsung makes, a better phone. Can you still hear me, Malcolm?
Yes, we can. We can. Perfectly.
Okay, something went off now on my side. Okay. So what I want to say is like, Samsung, they make a better phone, but that's a commodity. They make 600 phones a year, where Apple has only introduced now, the 10th iPhone. It might not even be as good as Samsung, but you know what? Nobody cares about that. What do people know about Apple? Steve Jobs. He's dead now for a few years, but everybody knows his story. And everybody loves Apple because Apple makes them feel good. I just believe, everybody. Hold on one sec. My phone is. Can you still hear me? It's breaking up a bit on my side.
Perfectly. We can hear you. We can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so sorry. As I was saying, everybody believes that Apple is about them. Apple is all about the user experience. I think Apple's best salespeople are the Apple customers. Apple customers, they stand in the rain around the block just to get a phone that they can order online and get it shipped to their house on the same day. But because they want to tell the story about how much they love Apple, they stay in line just to be able to tell the story. And those people, those aren't customers. Those are people that you can partner up with. They're working on your behalf for free because you love them, not they love you, but you love them. People love Steve Jobs because he let them see who he was. Stories are not a tactic you use to build your business. Your story is your business because it's you. And the strongest and the best thing that you have to differentiate yourself from anything out there is not what you are selling, it is who you are. Because if who you are is someone special, if who you are is a leader, if who you are is someone that is honest, if who you are is someone that is willing to let other people see, not that you are so good that you can get on stage, but that you are willing to get on stage, even if you aren't good enough, you're a person that people will follow. You lead by sharing your story and by being interested in other people, so they will be interested in you and be with you and be part of a community that you are inspiring. Thanks, Malcolm. Back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I've just lost one of my speakers, so if you just bear with me. First of all, can I just say, while we wait for Lindy to come back online, I don't think she knows she's online. Absolutely fantastic contribution, Lisa. And I think you're the epitome of success for me in this industry and in this business, because you feel sometimes when you come on that you don't give value, but I think that some of the stuff, you can see Rolando's there making notes, I was making a lot of notes. I think it's a very, very, very powerful contribution that you've made today. And you're right, it's all about the story. And your story is how this business is going to affect people. And your story is going to be what attracts people to you. Your vibe, attracts your tribe is what we say. You've seen that from some of our posts. Now I'm going to go spend just a moment. It's been a very difficult call for all of us. I've had a lady who's been wonderful, who sat there, waited all the way through to the end of the call. She's just dropped. I think she's just about joined us now. It's Lindy Blomkamp, who's calling in from South Africa. And as we start winding the call up, this is my last speak. I've just got to say, isn't it extraordinary that I could have easily just jumped out and said, I'm not doing this. I haven't slept since yesterday. I had about 2 hours sleep since yesterday morning, 6 o'clock. And I've been traveling around Cairo and Jordan, etc., etc. But I was determined to do this call because I think this call is absolutely crucial for all of our teams. It prepares people for Monday morning. It gets them galvanized. It gives them information. It gives them hope. It gives them belief. It gives them motivation and inspiration. And I think that all of our speakers so far have been absolutely phenomenal. And my next speaker is someone I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to be very patient and wait till she comes on, because if you notice, she sat all the way through. She's had horrendous problems with her communications. She's having problems right now, and I certainly hope we can hear from her. Lindy, are you online? Can we see you? Can we hear from you? And if not, would you log out and come back? I'm prepared to wait for you as long as it takes, because you've been absolutely brilliant. She says, oh my word, my signal has just failed today. Lisa, if you can contact Lindy and let her know that, you know, I'm going to wait a couple more moments for her. I really would love to hear from her. She's been wonderful sitting there very patiently. So I'm going to start winding the call up, wait for Lindy, and just say, look at the amount of notes that we've taken on this call. I'm going to edit this call. So for those of you who are watching it on video on YouTube, it'll probably come down offline, not today, not tomorrow, because I'll be recovered from my trip. But a couple of days, I'll take it down, I'll cut it so that we don't have all the mayhem that we had at the beginning of the call as well. What a great call. You know, if you listen to all the people that have spoken today, each one of these people is making a contribution on a Sunday. They're ensuring that they give you information for growth. These are seasoned professionals. Each one of them has come from the same place. As I wind my call up, waiting for my lovely Lindy, I hope she joins us, is to say that I'm in this because I love the journey. Why are you in this? You might have a reason of your own. I went to Jordan when no one else would go. I want to spend a few moments talking to you about this. You think you've got a problem in your market. They were paying $40 shipping for every single product that came into that marketplace. One box of Asics costing $55 would cost you $40 to bring into that country. We still went out there and we're still building a business. You see, where there is a need, where there's a desire for something, there's a desire for change, our business provides solutions. We are solutions providers. Rolandus has covered that on several calls. We are beacons of light. We are helping so many people change their way of thinking. We're changing their lives in so many ways because the way they think is changing, working around people like us. The way they work is changing because of the people like us. The way they do business, the way they make friends, the way they change spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and most importantly, financially as well, changes. We have a message of great hope that we send out to people. And I, for one, will make sure that every Sunday, regardless of where I'm in the world, whenever I can, I'm going to do this call. I think if I'm not around, Dan, who's been wonderful, Dan Parks, he comes on, he helps us to host it as well. I'm running out of steam right now. My voice is really, really dead. I haven't slept since 6 a.m. yesterday morning, but I'm going to give Lindy just 2 more minutes if she can come on, because I think it's very important. I love this girl. I love the whole of that South African group. I think they're just an incredible bunch of people. You know, Lisa, if you know her and you met her, she's absolutely gorgeous. She's not gorgeous because of the way she looks. She's gorgeous as a person. A true person that you can see straight through. You want to be around people like her. Empo Dindi, you want to be around people like Empo. You want to be around people like our wonderful Lindy, who's just joined us. So she's going to finish off by telling you all, you don't need to know everything. I think you're an absolute warrior. I admire people like you. My beautiful guest, I hope she's on. I hope she can hear us. Lindy calling in from South Africa. Hi, Lindy. She's frozen. Oh, Lindy, my dearest. Okay, Lindy, you have a beautiful profile picture at the moment that I'm talking to. So, and it's not the one where you were pole dancing either. So, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Unfortunately, Lindy, we're having a real problem trying to get you on. Your signal's really bad, and you're logged in twice, my dearest. What a great call. It's going to be one of our classics. You're there. Let me see if we can get you. Lindy, can you hear me? Oh, my goodness. I really want... She deserves to be on this call. She has waited all the way through. Lindy, are you there? Can you hear us? Lindy. Hello. What's happened is the gremlin that was doing drugs and drinks in my machine has made some kind of telepathic communication with a South African gremlin, and you're having the same problems right now. So we can see your beautiful smiling face, my dear, but we can't hear you and we can't see you. So I'm going to give you just one more minute. I'm sure none of my guests will mind it. I'll sit here and wait for you anyway. If you can get on again, I'd love you to come on because you've been absolutely brilliant. You've sat there all the way through. She says it's not working. Oh, my dearest. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Lindy, I love you. I think you're a wonderful girl. I think what we're going to do is next week, we'll do this call again. I'm going to have backup machine. I've learned my little lesson. Look how hard she's trying. I'll have a second machine, which I don't normally do that because normally I have one and it works and I can get on and talk to all of you, which I have done for 2 years. Perseverance is there. You can see Lindy now in stereo with 2 little pictures. And I think it's going to be very difficult to have her online. Lindy, if you're there, I'm going to count you in. If not, we're going to have to leave you till next week. And I think that's quite tragic because you work so hard to be here. I'm going to give you a couple more minutes and see if you can come on. Okay, while we're doing that, a couple more things I'm going to finish off with is we have Berlin coming up, as you all know. And really, a lot of what you've heard here is epitomized and is reinforced at the events that we have. Oh, I think we've got her. I'm not going to say anymore. I think we've got Lindy. No, we haven't. That kind of call. Today, as we sit here, for those of you listening in from Jordan, I believe there are over 2,000 people. I think that Rolandus might help me with that. Well over 2,000 people have arrived in Beirut today. It's an incredible event. They started off with just a few people. They built it up to 1,000 people over a year. That became nearly 6,000 distributors who have joined in the last few months. The movement is real. It's moving across the Arab-speaking world right now, and Jordan is going to be next. I know for a fact that events is what's really helped people like Liesel to really develop her skill set to be able to do what she does. I know for a fact that events help people like Liesel to develop her skills, and also Lindy as well. I know for a fact Colleen Ferguson has developed her skill sets from events. And while I wait here, I'm unfortunately going to have to count my wonderful friend out, Lindy, for joining us. Lindy, I'm sorry, but we're really short time, and I really wanted to make a contribution today. It's been a very difficult call, but, you know, it epitomizes our business. If it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to you. And really, all of us have worked very hard this Sunday, a memorable call on the 11th of March, making sure that we could come online and give you all material that you can work with. I am absolutely fading. My voice is going. It's my pleasure and my privilege to serve you on these Sunday team calls. I'd like to say goodbye to the guests that we still have online. Calling in from Nicosia, we have Rolandus, Sapphire Elite. Rolandus, excellent job. He's frozen as well at the moment, I can see. Laurie calling in from Canada, fantastic job. We got Rolandus there, who's just about signing out there, with Lobster there. Looking fabulous. Laurie calling in from Canada, fabulous. Sapphire Elite, welcome and helping us out. We've got also, as you can see, Colleen Ferguson. We've had Anastasia coming in. I don't know how she came on the call. I really don't know. And yeah, you look absolutely glorious, fantastic, wonderful. And we've had Dina as well. Thank you all for joining us on this rather interesting call. I'll be cutting a lot of this waffle out. Looking forward to our team call next Sunday. Lindy, I think you're wonderful. I'm going to bring you back on my call. I'm going to make sure you're my first speaker next week. Thank you for joining us on a long, difficult call. The information was well worthwhile. Malcolm P saying goodbye today, and I'll see you next Sunday. Good night, everybody.